Hello everyone, welcome to Redbust US channel. In this video, we look at the latest updates on US immigration related employment based and student visas for the week of May 4th to May 9th. This is what we will look at in this video. So this is what we'll cover. We'll look at mainly what the rule F1 duration of status rule, what's happening with that. Look what is some of the debate that has happened in H1B visa and the doctor's freeze that is lifted, the H1B slots update, and what are the things that are currently going on. If you haven't subscribed to our channel, do subscribe for getting regular updates. So this is the first one. This has been, there is the current rule is the duration of status for F1 students. The thing is, whenever you actually enter America on an F1 visa, you get something called D/S, which is duration of status, which lets you continue to be in the US as long as you want if you're continuing to study, right? So this is something that exists today, and DHS wants to change this. So there has been a law that, a regulation in proposed rule stage for quite some time. It was originally proposed last year and the comments closed in September 29th. So currently they're in the last step. So as you can see on 5th, it was submitted to basically for the final step to get this, which is basically E-Vote 1286 regulatory review. So once that is done, once OMB completes that, then it actually will become a final rule and it will be impacting many people, right? So this is actually one of the significant ones. While it looks like a very, very simpler one for many people who are not in F1, but this is actually significant. The reason is this is the kind of impact it will have. The fundamental thing is if you are an F1 student, right? When you enter the country, you get something called a duration of status. It's open-ended until the program ends, and then people can go to the programs and all sorts of that. Now with this new rule, that will very likely come in. Once it's not final yet. Again, we're waiting for the final review. But once it comes in, it's going to limit up to 4 years. 24 months for languages, right? So again, this specifics we will see, but again, this is a big one because now you do not have a direct open-ended entry. You will really have limitations on what you can do, and some of these things will come in, right? But also the grace period is going to be shortened from 60 days to 30 days. That's what one of the changes. And currently extensions, like basically, let's say you're a program and you want to change the program, whatever, right? DSO mostly handles good amount of the work. You don't really have to go to the USCIS for some of these things. But now what will happen is when you get this with this new change, if this goes through, you will have to go through USCIS again. You have to go through I-539 form, and you need to do the biometrics maybe very likely, and all of these things will come in, right? And it's basically you are allowed to change the programs without USCIS approval currently, but now with this you are actually like restricted, and grad students may also be having some challenges there. You can't change and all of that. And also the unlawful presence starts only after USS finds out and some of these things. But here it automatically starts, typically after I-94 expires. And again, any overstaying will trigger a 3 to 5 year ban. Some of these. So we're trying to oversimplify this. But again, we'll do a separate video once the rule is final. But at the moment, things may change. So that's why this is the high level summary of what it looks like. Yeah. So that's what it is. Now, who does it impact, right? While it looks like it only impacts maybe a small number, but it's significant impact on a majority of the students, right? So especially for Indian students, there are about 400,000 students, especially if Indians who are in the US on various programs, undergrad, grad, PhD, and all of that. So it impacts spouses of F1 students, J1 exchange program, J2 dependents, also OPT, STEM OPT. Basically all of these people, because right now the OPT, once you get I-94 into the picture, a lot of things may change there. And also for PhD students, the 4 years may not be sufficient, because it's a typically 5-year program. So again, this we'll have to see how this one, right? So overall, this is going to be a significant change once it becomes a final rule. But again, it's in last step, so very likely we'll see this because it's almost there, Now, switching gears, the second topic, right? There has been some debate on Twitter because Senator Eric Schmidt basically posted he had a report that he got from Congress, and there's a lot of, again, this is one of those things where basically like that gets kind of whatever call you the H1B fraud is being discussed on Twitter a lot, right? So the fundamental thing that's triggered this is because from the report, out of the 400, it says about 406,000 H1B approvals, Indians get about 70% and China about 12%, and many majority of them the renewals, right? So again, some of the key thing is, basically one of ex-visa officers says that 70 to 90% of Indian applicants game the system. It's kind of not, I mean, this is slightly dated, but again, this is coming from next visa officer. So all of these added up, and it doesn't help the sentiment of the H1B program, even though it adds a lot of value in a good number of cases. The abuse was also equally on the same side. So that's why it doesn't help the current situation of the program. What's happening, right? So again, this is a debate that has happened. Again, basically, it just highlights what has happened, and all of this are. Or what happens when these kind of things come out is USCIS will pick up many of these things, and essentially, if this takes traction, there will be more and more scrutiny and more regulations will come in. Again, this is to filter out the bad guys. If they're genuine, I think it's fine. But the overall program is getting bad PR. That's the fundamental idea about this, right? Now, the other big change is basically silently USC has basically removed the uh, visa processing fee freeze for foreign trained doctors. Basically, this is something very big because in January 2026, they had blocked H1B and J1 and green position foreign doctors from these 39 countries that were basically barred from entry and visa processing, right? So what has happened is since then there has been a lot of shortage of doctors, and a lot of doctors went on administrative leave and all of these people. So about 86,000 physician shortage is expected by 2032, right? So quite a few medical associations went and they sent a letter to DHAS. So all of these added up, and eventually they removed slightly, silently, not making a big fuss about it. But what it does is, already if you're a doctor in the US, your visa would be extended, that they will not stop it. But still, doctors coming from abroad are still barred from initial entry because the broader travel ban is still in place. Again, it does help for people who are already, for doctors who are already there, but not everyone. Yeah, so that is the other big news that has come up. Again, other things related to H1B, H4 visa slots. Again, no bulk slot this week. It's been very quiet. No, I mean, very tight availability. There we call these ghost slots that appear here and there, but I've seen barely one or two people even see them in our community groups. So basically, still, it's a very difficult situation. If you have if you're planning to travel abroad, do not travel unless it's a real emergency and you have no other option, because the odds of you getting a stamping and going back are very low because there are no slots available, and there could be anything. So that's why I do not leave because the slots look very bad. And what's ongoing? I mean, these are the current things that continue to happen. In last week, USCIS gave this FBI revetting. It's active now, and it's active for all green card applications and all of that. So there is a current probe that's happening in Texas Attorney General for about 30 firms that's happening, and also there are some related to US as DI H1B cases. They're under review, and policies. There may be some changes there. Currently, H1B filing is happening between April 1st and June 30th. So we don't know if there will be a second round lottery on that. So that's something we're also waiting for, right? And there is no movement on the H1B Visa Abuse Act. We talked about it in the last week or a week before, so not much. And also there is a proposed wage rule for the comment period that's happening. So these are all current activities that are still ongoing related to our H1B thing, right? In summary, the key takeaways from this week is DHS has sent the F1 J1 program that ends the duration of status thing, and which introduces a fixed time frame for F1J students. So this is it's in the last step before publication. So we'll wait where that goes. With that, what will happen is the 4-year max stay will be, and the grace period also will be cut down from 60 days to 30 days. So it's going to impact very likely students arriving this September. So we'll have to see how this will work, because this is a significant change, right? So we'll see. We'll keep you posted. Again, there was a debate on Twitter about for 2025 data about 406,000 applicants, and where there are 70% were Indians and all of that, and the fraud. So again, that's something that is not helping I would say, the overall sentiment for the H1B program. That's what it is. And the DHS lifted the visa freeze for foreign trained doctors, for H1Bs, J1. These are regarding the 39 banned countries. So still it applies to people coming from outside. But if you're already in the US, you could continue even if you're part of that band and if you're a doctor, right? And again, there is no visa slots released this week. So again, no bulk slots. So that's what's happening. Again, these are the few updates, everybody. So do subscribe for getting regular updates. We are doing a weekly summary, and we've been able to do this for the last few weeks. We'll continue to do this. Stay tuned and do subscribe. Thank you so much for watching.